Good morning and happy Monday. Mornings with Luann and Tim. Thanks to KC Security for sponsoring the show for us, as they do so generously every day. Certainly appreciate it. The AMAs, my friend.
I didn't watch them. I PVR'd them but never got to see them. How were they?
They were okay.
Okay, so these awards are selected by the fans.
Yes.
Me not care.
No?
No.
But there is an American Music
This is one of those Dick Clark
Association.
things, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
But it's also like
Dick
an American
Clark
Music
created
Association, so there is some formality to it. But
This is like People's Choice Awards, the AMAs.
Yeah.
They're all, yeah. You know what? You buy
they're the ones who buy the
Billboard
product.
Awards. Yeah.
So you have to, like the artists who won were so thankful to their fans. Mm-hmm. You don't care.
Because I don't think a lot of people have good taste.
As opposed to you?
No, I'm not saying that my taste is good. All I'm saying is it's a fun show. But as far as I'm concerned, the money the people are making, it's all marketing. It's all Dick Clark's, his production company's making a fortune, and the artists are making money off the fans. It's all just about money and
This
selling
from
and
the
marketing.
man who watches The Masked Singer.
I'm
Dancing with the Stars popularity contest.
Exactly. If I like it, it matters. If I don't, it doesn't matter.
Well,
Tell me-
anyway,
but it was
Selena
I'm sure it's
Gomez
fun to
opened
watch.
it. She was awesome. It was
Really?
so good to see her back again. And of course, she's best friends with Taylor Swift, and Taylor was in the front row with Selena's mom and dad, jumping up and down, just so thrilled and excited for her. She did
survived
a really
her breakup.
good job. She survived the breakup.
Wrote a song about it and made $1 million.
So yeah, she did a great job. She looked really good. Lizzo performed.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Okay.
I don't understand
Why people are so crazy about her?
Yeah, I you know what? She's a rapper.
Okay.
She's very empowered. So I guess that's it. But
High energy.
honestly, I don't last night. I just kind of went, oh yeah.
Her little purse though was a big hit.
Yeah, the little purse.
Okay.
Shania Twain, holy moly, mama! Come on back and show 'em how it's done.
Thank goodness.
Wow, she did it. Man, woof. She
can still
dressed
sing?
it up, and she can sing, and
Good.
she looked phenomenal, and she did all of her songs. She of course did Feel Like a Woman, You're Still the One, Any Man of Mine, and they would pan, of course, the audience, as they always do on those shows like that, and everybody singing right along with her, and it was just phenomenal to flip back with her.
I think Shania does better when she just sings and doesn't speak. Did you see her when she was...
Well, you're just a happy camper this morning, aren't you?
No, she was on a show where she was a judge at one point. And
Yes.
She didn't know what she was talking about.
Oh.
She made no sense. But this is good. I'm glad to hear she's still singing. Because she stopped singing for a while after
Yes,
Mutt Lange,
she
and she
did.
divorced and she lost her voice.
She
and
lost
said,
her
I can't
voice.
sing 'cause
Yeah,
I'm all
she was
stressed out.
scared. Yeah, she was scared. The highlight for me last night on the show was probably Christina Aguilera doing her
Her I
latest single with Great Big World, and it's called Fall on Me, and it's a remake. Oh my word, that girl can sing.
She can.
Seriously, I have to say. Tay you would not have been impressed with.
What happened with Taylor
Well,
Swift?
she went just prior to
She
her
won Artist of
accepting
the Decade.
Yes.
Okay.
Just prior to her accepting the Artist of the Decade award, she did a medley of all of her songs, and I feel like she can sing. I asked Jim, who doesn't know much about her, who's a musician, do you think she can sing? He said, yeah, she's hit some flat notes tonight, though. So yeah, so there were a couple. It was almost like it was almost like she couldn't hear herself. Yeah, like it was like she was just.
Maybe she had a head cold.
Maybe she had a head cold.
Sometimes when you have a head cold, you can't hear yourself. And
That's
you sing
right.
a little flat.
Yeah, I always sing flat, even if I don't have a head cold.
I will give it a look now that I can fast forward.
You enjoy that, Mr. Murphy. Tell me how you think it went.
Okay, now the K-pop guys won everything. The BTS guys, they won everything they were nominated for.
I was kind of half watching. Don't
Okay.
know.
So we were talking about, remember the K-pop?
Yes, yeah.
And then somebody said in the U.S. they're late to pick up this K-pop phenomenon.
Yes.
Artists aren't getting enough recognition. There's something going on in that industry. There is a K-pop star. Her name was Gu Hara, 28 years old. She was found dead in her home in Seoul, Korea.
What?
She was a member of a girls group called Kara, I think, or Kara, I don't know. Yeah, Kara, anyway, from 2008 to 2015.
Oh.
So that's a long career as a singer. Then she went solo, and she was doing film and television and stuff. She had this ex-boyfriend who tried to blackmail her, threatened violence against her, and then also was going to expose her with a sex tape. While all that was going on, her label dropped her. Then she got a new management, made a comeback. Things were going well, but this is not uncommon, Luann. Apparently, there's been suicide since the late 1990s, a succession of deaths with K-pop artists, including this singer-actress named Sully, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
She apparently committed suicide. She was a really good friend, best friends with Gu. And so anyway, they're saying that the industry it's toxic. A lot of them suffer from depression. They said that it tramples on human dignity, and then they're also really subjected to a lot of cyberbullying.
Really?
K-pop. So I don't know. Maybe this is not a trend that we want to pick up in the U.S., but
I did see the acceptance speech that was translated from the K-pop group, the boys that won. Yeah, that was kind of interesting to watch. It was like watching one of those old Oriental movies.
Yes. So the Japanese when the movie comes later.
And I was like, they're not synced.
Out of sync.
Out of sync.
Today I'm starting a series of interviews, because this is the first day of the 16 days of activism, violence against women and gender-based violence. Women in Crisis came, and I did 2 interviews with them. But so over the course of the next 16 days, up until when it wraps up on December the 5th, I believe it is, right? Is that 16 days? Or is it the 10th? I have to check now. No, it would be the 10th. The 10th of December was the anniversary of the massacre in Montreal. Okay, so that's, yeah. So anyway, we're also introducing Women in Crisis is introducing the Rose campaign. So there's a lot going on, but it's really all about gender-based violence and violence against women and the 60 days of activism. So we've got a couple of interviews with that.
Awesome.
Plus, hey, Logan Costa's coming by. SAH, the 50-50 draw.
Ooh.
We're going to hear about that too. And Luann has the news. And maybe I'll be in a better mood after I have some more coffee. Stay with us on this Monday morning. We'll be right back.
Last year we've been celebrating our 65th anniversary, dating back to services originating in our community in 1954, which is quite some time ago. It's been a great opportunity this past year to recognize the pioneers, the stakeholders that worked tirelessly to create what we are today. I'm grateful for everything that the families 65 years ago and the people that assembled the organization have done in order for us to achieve the success that we're experiencing 65 years later.
In your home, lighting is just as important as style.
With PowerView Motorization from Hunter Douglas, you can schedule your shades to light up the room. Create privacy, or both, automatically. No hands required.
So your shades will always be in the right place at the right time in style. And it's only from Hunter Douglas.
Welcome back to Mornings with Luann and Tim, and we're talking right now with, I've got Sarah and I've got Jenna from Women in Crisis. 16 Days of Activism. It's basically raising awareness about sexual violence, violence against women, and we're talking more specifically about sexual assault and domestic violence, right?
Right.
So we're going to do 2 segments today. The first part, we're going to talk a little bit about sort of definitions, context, misconceptions, myths, and then when we come back for the second half, we'll talk specifically about Women in Crisis, what your roles there are, and what Women in Crisis does if to support victims who report to you and basically say, I am a victim, what can you do for me, all right? Mm-hmm. So let's get down to, first of all, definitions of sexual assault. When did it sort of change from rape to sexual assault? Is that something that we still use the term rape?
A lot of people in society still use the term rape. Rape is more used actually in the United States, and in Canada we refer to it as sexual assault.
So it's more of just a legal jargon, I guess, that turned it around from rape to sexual assault, right?
Basically. Yep.
Okay, so definition, let's start with consent. That's probably the best way to start, because without consent, that is when you actually have a sexual assault. Okay, so how do you define consent then?
So when we're talking about consent, it's important to know that it's the voluntary and explicit agreement to engage in the sexual activity in question. It is the act of willingly agreeing to engage in specific sexual behavior, and it requires that a person freely chooses between 2 responses, yes and no.
All right, freely chooses. Now, choice is removed from certain situations. So, in other words, if someone is under the influence,
Right.
Can we talk a little bit about that? What can you give consent if you are impaired?
Consent can never be given if somebody is impaired by alcohol or drugs, if they're unconscious, if they're asleep. They need to be in a state of mind where they can willingly be able to consent to something.
Yeah.
And what about, Jenna, what about when it comes to consent for a particular act, but not every act? Is that something we need to consider as well? That can consent be revoked during a sexual encounter?
It absolutely can, and that's a really important thing to bring up. If you're starting to engage in an act and you decide that you no longer want to do it, you can say no.
Okay.
And you can change your mind.
All right, so you're revoking consent.
Absolutely.
Or also, let's say you agree to a particular form of sexual activity, and then it changes and something else is introduced during the encounter, and you can say no to that. And that would be it's a whole different ballgame, right? When
Absolutely.
it changes there's so many different things that are involved in intimacy. Would the basic lesson here be communication?
Communication is huge, absolutely, and it can never be implied or assumed, right? So if 2 people are starting to become intimate and they're kissing, you can't assume that it's going to lead to the next step, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's talk then about some of the myths that are involved. There's a story that came out recently, and I'm pretty sure it was a celebrity who talked about going on a date with someone, and on the first date, there was a sexual encounter that would have been considered sexual assault. The victim continued to see that perpetrator after the initial date and continued to date that person, and it wasn't until later on in the relationship when she sort of looked back on the situation and went, if I really think about that first time we went out, that was like date rape. Mm-hmm. And yet she continued to see that. Is this something that happens, and do people feel guilt about that? It gets confusing, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about sexual myths, a lot of time the myths that we're talking about, that's exactly why people have that idea in their head that they can't recognize sexual assault for what it is, right? Because we have these myths and these stigmas that sexual assault happens in a dark alleyway with somebody we've never met before that, grabbed us and sexually assaulted us. Unfortunately, that does happen, but the vast majority, actually 82% of sexual assaults, are by somebody that we know. So a lot of times, because we don't have that understanding, we don't recognize a sexual assault when it happens, sometimes till after the fact when we've gotten the education.
Right. And Jenna, what about the fact that you can be in a relationship and still be sexually assaulted? Can you address that a little bit?
Absolutely. So even in long-term relationships, marriages, it still happens, but people don't identify it as that.
So we've heard stories about a husband then suddenly becoming either violent or sexually assaulting his wife, that doesn't make it any less of an assault just because they've, gotten married, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Oftentimes people think when you're in a relationship, whether it be marriage, common law, dating relationship, that there's just a blanket of consent, right? And that absolutely is not true.
Not true.
Yeah.
Okay, now there was something else about if the woman doesn't report a sexual assault, then it wasn't a sexual assault. But if you don't go to the police right away, there are a number of reasons why women don't report. Can you touch on some of those, and maybe we can dispel some myths there about why, if it isn't reported, that it didn't count?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times, one of the biggest things is women are scared. They feel like they won't be believed. And sometimes women might tell a close friend or family member that it happened, and they don't believe them. So they think, well, if these people don't believe me, there's no way that I can go to the police and report this.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also, if it's happened, people deal with trauma in different ways.
Right.
Yep.
Let's address that one a little bit, Sarah. So we might hear in a court case, someone's on the stand, a victim is being questioned by the defense attorney for the perpetrator, and they're saying, well, we have pictures of you out the next night at a party.
Absolutely.
So how is it possible that you were sexually assaulted and you're at a party the next night? Can you talk to that?
Right. And that's actually a really common thing that happens. Again, we have this stigma and this idea of how somebody should respond to trauma. And everybody responds to trauma differently, right? So a lot of times people deny what happened to them, they minimize what happened to them, or they don't want to deal with it, they don't want to think about it. And so you might see them going out laughing, not talking about it. They might be quiet and withdrawn and not say anything. But we have this idea that they should be crying, they should be angry, they should be screaming and yelling, and if that's not the case, then it didn't happen.
And what about, let's not discount the fact that there's shock involved.
Right.
If you're traumatized, the way you deal with trauma, it's every case is going to be different, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
What about the whole concept about not fighting back? Tell me about that. How is that? If a woman doesn't fight back, then it wasn't an assault. Can you address that?
Absolutely.
That's a myth.
And it is a huge myth, and it doesn't mean that they don't want to. Sometimes we go into that fight or flight mode. So a lot of times the one might just become numb. We hear that a lot from women, that they really struggle. Well, I didn't fight back, right? I should have been able to stop it, and I couldn't.
Do you think at this day and age, even though we've had this great Me Too movement and there are notorious cases like Harvey Weinstein coming out, but do you think that there's still things happening in the media that are making women not want to report, or making them afraid to report, or giving them doubts as to whether they should report?
Absolutely, that's still a huge issue that we're trying to see movement and change on, right? Again, you still hear things like, well, what was she wearing? Well, she was flirting with that person at the party, so she must have been asking for it, right? Well, she was drinking and she got herself intoxicated. So, the onus is put on the victim instead of the perpetrator.
Right, right. And then even the stories of, well, she went to his hotel room, so that's not an invitation to rape or sexual assault, right?
No one's asking for that.
All right, so now there's much more we need to talk about. I want to get to, when we come back, we're going to come back in the second half of the show, you're going to return with us, and we're going to talk about what happens when someone comes to a woman in crisis and presents as a victim and says, I need help, or this is what happened to me. We'll talk about what your roles are and the services that women in crisis provide. Okay? Thanks for being here, and we'll be back with more Mornings with Len and Tim right after this.
This is On TV.
In your home, lighting is just as important as style.
With PowerView Motorization from Hunter Douglas, you can schedule your shades to light up the room, create privacy, or both, automatically. No hands required.
So your shades will always be in the right place at the right time in style. And it's only from Hunter Douglas.
Well, I have really good news for President Trump.
Oh, good.
Yes.
I'm so happy. I want to make him happy.
The border is, you know what? That border security is really working, Lou.
Oh, good.
Yes, in El Paso, Texas. They nabbed, are you ready? 150 pounds of black market Mexican bologna.
Ha! Good for you, the Donald. Good for you.
I'm so glad that fence/wall is there.
Way to take charge of that
And the
bologna.
really cool thing is you push that bologna through the Mexican fence wall thing and it slices it beautifully.
That's a wiener.
It's a
Right?
Wiener. 150
Black
pounds
market.
of black market Mexican bologna
I hope
in
it's
El
not
Paso, Texas.
Really black.
I don't even like bologna.
I love bologna. Oh my God!
isn't
Fried
bologna-
bologna sandwiches, like layered,
Yeah.
with like cheese whiz,
But isn't
toast.
that made up
Oh.
like pig's ears and things and lips?
Oh, maybe, and bum holes apparently.
Oh my goodness!
Yes, I don't know.
Have you ever heard that TV show, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here?
I've heard of it.
I've never watched it.
Me neither.
Caitlyn Jenner is one of the contestants on it this year. I know
Okay.
that Melissa Rivers did it one year. It's basically, they take celebrities and put them in these really hard living conditions in the jungle or whatever, and they have to survive, and it's kind of supposed to be funny, and it's a reality show. However, she's in a bikini, and she looks amazing. Her figure is great.
Well, she's an amazing shit. Like, look at
How old
her.
is Caitlyn Jenner? She's probably
she's-
in her mid-60s.
Yeah.
She looks great. Look
She
at her.
looks awesome.
Tummy's good. Like, nice.
Look at her.
You go.
Man.
I know.
Holy cow. But she was, previously an athlete, so I'm sure she's
still
very used to
athletic body,
working out
long
and
legs.
stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, very exposing though too. No makeup, a lot of shots, no makeup.
Really?
Yes.
Good for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so listen, I was talking about in the intro that this is the beginning of the 16 Days of Activism, okay?
Yes.
So Women in Crisis is doing this really cool sort of thank you campaign. They were on the show talking about a couple weeks ago not taking nominations for people in the community who've made a difference in some way, whether it's in supporting women in crisis or advocating for the end of violence against women, helping people out, whatever. So they've got all these nominees and they've chosen their recipients. And so for the next 16 days, business days, they're going to be going to surprise people with a bouquet of yellow roses to thank them.
A whole bouquet?
An entire bouquet.
Nice.
And so there's a little thing coming up. It's a beautiful 2-minute vignette. We're going to be featuring these throughout the 16 days of activism.
Awesome.
And you'll get to see the different people in the community that they've chosen to present. These people were all nominated and they've chosen them.
So this is our first one.
Yes, you're going to watch that right now. And then when we come back from that, Luann, you're going to have the news.
I am. I'll have the news, so please stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Sarah from Women in Crisis. 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence is a time to take action to end violence against women and girls around the world. 16 days, 16 women, 16 bouquets of roses. We at Women in Crisis, along with Superior Media, want to shine the light on the incredible actions of individuals in this community who are working to end violence against women. The roses being presented are in memory of the 14 women who lost their lives on December 6, 1989, and in honor of all women who have lost their lives or endured gender-based violence. Join us today as we present these roses to Katie Kandari. Hi Katie, thank you for meeting us here today at Shabby Motley. We're here today because you have been nominated by a member of our community for your strength, your courage, your work and passion towards ending violence against women, and your dedication for bringing change for future generations. Specifically, you were nominated for having a heart of compassion, and that shines through every conversation that you have with the women you serve through your work. So thank you for being a light in this community. Thank you. Remember, one candle can light thousands. Katie is one of many women who are working hard to end gender-based violence in our community. Stay with us over the next few days as we continue to highlight those who are shining the light in our community. How can you help? Visit womenincrisis.ca today. Ending violence against women starts with you.
Recently, the Government of Ontario established a $100 million affordability fund to help Ontarians who don't qualify for low-income conservation programs ease the burden of their electricity bill. Whether you rent or own your home, as long as you pay your electric bill, you could qualify. There are 3 levels of support available. The first is a home energy kit with upgrades like smart power bars and LED light bulbs. The second includes Energy Star appliances that help keep things cool during the hot summer months. The third is for electrically heated homes so that your power bills don't break the bank during those long Canadian winters. Plus, all upgrades, including installation, are completely free of charge. Visit affordabilityfund.org or call 1-855-494-FUND to find out if you qualify.
On both sides of the border gathered in unity on Saturday afternoon to protest the proposed ferrochrome smelter plant. It's set to be located on Algoma Steel property starting in 2025 and end up running by 2028. Locally, approximately 30 people were at the boardwalk near the Delta Hotel, while a large group gathered at Ashman and Portage in Michigan as well to show their support. On TV was at the boardwalk to check it out.
So all these fine people came out today to support the no ferrochrome, which is the potential plant that our mayor and council believe would be positive in our community, and all us fine people beg to differ. We are protesting because we do not want a ferrochrome smelter production facility erected in our community, let alone on our fresh water. I'm concerned for the next 7 generations to come as a steward of the land. That's my obligation. Aside from the fact that I have my own grandchildren who will, someday I hope produce children of their own who will produce children, and it would be nice for them not to have to fear the added cancer rates that Sault Ste. Marie already has.
Well, I'm here today protesting because I feel that we live in one of the most pristine, beautiful areas of Ontario. We're at the hub of the Great Lakes. We benefit from nature. We benefit from the waters, being able to go 10, 15 miles out of town and be at a beautiful beach and swim. So I have children, I have grandchildren, and I really want them to have those kinds of opportunities. And everything I read about this ferrochrome plant and the chromium smelter tells me that they won't have those opportunities, that it's poisonous to the land, to the water, and the particles are also in the air. So I think we need to stop this in a peaceful and educated manner, and we don't want a ferrochrome plant here. I don't want a ferrochrome plant here. One of the things that Sault Ste. Marie is promoting now is ecotourism. They're trying very hard to get people to come here and enjoy the benefits of this area. Now, with a ferrochrome plant, that's not going to be possible. No one's going to plan their vacation to spend 2 weeks next to a ferrochrome plant and the things that flow from it and blow away from it. So right away, you're cutting down one of the things that is going to be one of the major sources of revenue here in the Sault.
I'm here for the protest because I just feel like it would be bad because my mom said before that we once had one of these and it exploded like 6 blocks, and I don't really want that. I want a good future for me to grow up in.
I'm here to support not just my kids, but everybody's children. There's been a lot of environmental destruction and damage, all in the name of profit, and I just want to prove that the people matter more than the profit.
About 500 people ate a pancake breakfast with Santa at the Station Mall yesterday morning to support the local lung association. Children also had the opportunity to enjoy crafts, a magician, and pictures with Santa and Mrs. Claus.
Today is the annual pancake breakfast when Santa arrives at the mall, and all the kids are here today enjoying pancakes and some crafts and festivities and visiting with Santa, along with having some prize draws and some fun stuff happening.
Well, the turnout's amazing. It's sold out every year early, so the kids love it. It brings everybody in the holidays spirit.
So the Station Mall's been doing this event for over 20 years, and they do it to bring the children in, have them enjoy the morning with Santa, and then they sponsor the event, so the funds are donated to the Lung Association annually. So it's a great event and supporting of a great group of people with the Lung Association and people that are suffering with lung disease. It's amazing, the community support. I mean, look at this event, look at the people, the happy children, parents and families, and it's just that coming together of community.
The 8th annual Toy Stock fundraiser kicked off at noon yesterday at Northern Grand Gardens, once again taking donations of toys for Christmas cheer. The event included 10 bands over 10 hours, as well as face painting, a retro gaming station, coloring area, and a photo booth. It was all in conjunction with the 104.3 FM Stuff a Bus campaign, where high schools around the Sioux stuff a bus with toys.
Today is 10 hours of music, all for Toy Stock. Everything goes to Christmas cheer. You can get in today by a new or slightly used toy, a non-perishable food item, or a cash donation. All day open to the public. Everything here is by donation. We have a selfie mirror, and we have a retro video game corner. We have face painting with the girls over there, all volunteer. We have a little coloring corner. All the bands are here on their own time, and we'll have 10 hours of music going where the kids can dance and have fun. Grand Gardens has put on a kid-friendly menu for anybody wanting to enjoy some Grand Gardens food, and the bar's open for those of us old enough to partake. About 8 years ago, we were having a conversation before I was ever involved with this. I guess there was an old charity where they had done some bands raising money for Christmas cheer, and it had died off, and we had said, you know, it's really necessary. So my husband said, I'd like to make it bigger and huger, and we decided to go with 10 bands for 10 hours, and I came up with Toy Stock. So we've been doing this for 8 years. We started out in the basement at the Canadian, and after a couple years we outgrew that space and we had to come up to the Grand Gardens, and hopefully we don't ever have to outgrow this space, that the need won't ever be that high. Christmas cheers, happy to have our donations. They're amazing. I don't know if you've ever been down to the Christmas cheer depot. Watching them work is phenomenal, and the fact that it's all by donation is crazy to me. They do everything, fix the toys, wash the toys, find the missing pieces, and for us to get this kind of haul all at once before they get into their major basket making is good.
And helping you guys with this awesome event, and it's our pleasure and our honor to be here.
This past year we've been celebrating our 65th anniversary, dating back to services originating in our community in 1954, which is quite some time ago. It's been a great opportunity this past year to recognize the pioneers, the stakeholders that worked tirelessly to create what we are today. Grateful for everything that the families 65 years ago and the people that assembled the organization have done in order for us to achieve the success that we're experiencing 65 years later.
In your home, lighting is just as important as style.
With PowerView Motorization from Hunter Douglas, you can schedule your shades to light up the room, create privacy, or both, automatically. No hands required.
So your shades will always be in the right place at the right time in style. And it's only from Hunter Douglas.
We're back with Sarah and Jenna from Women in Crisis. Thanks again for being here this morning, talking about the 16 days of activism and raising awareness about sexual assault, human trafficking, all of the things that can happen for victims of sexual assault and domestic violence. When someone reports to you at Women in Crisis, you're located on
23 Oakland Avenue.
23 Oakland Avenue,
Yep.
all right. Tell me a little bit about the shelter, first of all, physically.
So we're a 24-bed shelter for women and children. We have a 24-hour crisis walk-in service or phone service, and that's open to any woman in the public. Again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So a person could just show up on your doorstep?
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
So let's then talk a little bit about when someone does that, the process. What happens? I come to your door, I knock on your door, whether I'm with my children or alone, and I say I am a victim. I have been assaulted, or I have been abused, or I'm in a relationship, an unhealthy relationship, and I need help. What do you do? How do you help?
So essentially, when a woman comes in, she can meet with a crisis counselor, and they'll sit down and talk to her about what happened and what they want to see happen, right? So we cannot assume that if a woman's been assaulted or sexually assaulted that they want to go to police, right? Or they want to go to the hospital.
They have the choice.
Absolutely.
So I don't have to think, if I'm coming to you to say I'm scared or I'm in danger, you're not necessarily going to say the first thing I'm going to do is call the police and have them come in here and interview you. That's not going to happen.
No.
Unless they want that to happen.
Absolutely. Because we know there's many, many different reasons why women choose not to report, and we have to respect that. And sometimes it can even be a safety issue for them at that time, right?
Okay.
It's also important to know if they did choose to report, we can support them through that. Sometimes we can phone the police and have them come right into the shelter.
Oh, see, I think I'd like that.
Yeah.
I think if I were coming to you and saying something's happened and I'm scared and I don't know what to do, and you say, do you want us to call the police? I would, rather than you take me to the police station, they come to me.
Yep,
I think I would like that.
Right, that's much more comfortable.
Because I've been to the shelter.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful environment. I would like that to happen there.
Absolutely. It kind of breaks that barrier a little bit, right?
Do you accompany people to the hospital? Do you go that far?
Absolutely.
Yes, we do. Yep.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I could come to you and say, this happened to me. You make arrangements to get me to the hospital and you'll come with me?
Absolutely.
Oh boy, I'm feeling better already. I'm feeling the empathy of what a victim must feel like.
Right.
What about the children? If I come with my kids, do you have people who look after my kids while I go?
We absolutely do. Yeah, we have childcare available as well. And in the event that a woman comes in even for a walk-in service, the crisis counselors can arrange with childcare so that they can watch the children while mom speaks to the
So
crisis
wait a sec,
workers.
I don't just have to come and say I need to stay here. I could just come to you and say I just need to talk to you.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you do counseling?
Yep.
24/7 again?
Yep.
But daytime walk-in, is there like, do you do workshops or sessions or stuff or any of that stuff, like open to the public kind of things ever? Or how does that
so
work?
Sarah and I do the individual counseling piece. So we do kind of like the outreach. So we'll see women that are outside of the shelter. We also do group counseling as well. So we have two groups that we offer. We have a moving forward group and we have a self-esteem group as well. And a part of our position is also doing advocacy and accompaniment, which allows us to go to the police station, go to the hospital, attend lawyers' appointments, court appointments
with lawyers
women.
and court appointments too.
Yeah.
You do all of that?
Yeah.
How many of you are there?
Just two of us.
Holy smokes! But 24 beds, but that's just in the shelter themselves.
Yes.
So you're probably, you're taking care of the 24 beds and then also outreach in the community as well.
Sarah and I only do the outreach part. So
Okay.
we have crisis counselors, 2 on staff at all times, that work with the women that are staying in the shelter.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, you also help plan with people, right? If you're a victim and you need to sort of get out of a situation and it can't happen right away, because sometimes there's danger.
Absolutely.
If you try to just flee.
Right. Yep.
So you need a plan. Do you actually do that kind of work too? Do you plan with victims to help them remove them from a situation?
Absolutely. We do extensive safety planning with women. Sometimes in certain situations we can offer alarm systems for them for in their home. At times we've gone into the home to look around and help give them ideas about ways that they can stay safe in the home. We can do safety planning for their children at school, safety planning if they're going to the courthouse, out in public, everything.
Wow. All right. So now I've reported to you, and we've decided. Let's say I've decided to go to the police, and I'm going to go to the hospital, and then we move on to the legal process. You're with me. You can stay with me the whole. Will I have the same person with me, or will I go through different people? Or how does that work?
Usually we try, that the one person will be available. In the event that can't be arranged, then they might have another worker. But for the most part, we try to keep it consistent with the same worker.
What agencies do you partner with in Sault Ste. Marie in the district? Do you work with other agencies when it comes to sexual assault victims and domestic violence victims?
Absolutely, we do. So again, it's where the woman's at. We always meet the woman where she's at and what support she's looking for. So we're a referral agency as well. So depending on what supports they might need, we'll refer them to that agency. We can support them in that agency and go from there.
You even do relocations, don't you? You would help with somebody who actually has to leave the city if they need to?
Absolutely. Yep.
How do you do that?
So we can, again, just depending on what they need, we can connect with other shelters in other cities if they need to go to that shelter. We can work with them to get a bus ticket with a Greyhound if they need to get there. Whatever we need to do to make sure that they're safe and that they're relocated in a safe space.
Let's talk a little bit about confidentiality. Can we address that? What sort of what's in place to protect the victims, as far as from your perspective as counselors? Everything is
absolutely, it's kept confidential. Yeah. So the only time that we can ever share about a woman's situation or whatever it is that she's looking for, we have to have consent from her. Okay. So we cannot contact other people on her behalf unless she consents that.
How about the healing process? Because that's a huge part. After you've gone through everything and you're ready to move on in your life, or how do you even say that? I mean, do you move on? Is there a way of addressing this?
I never use the term move on because I don't know if you ever move on. I use the term move forward.
That's why I stopped myself.
Yeah. Right.
I felt like that's always there, right?
Yeah, you move forward in your life, right?
You learn how to live with what's happened to you.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So do you play a role in that process as well? The moving forward. You talked about
Absolutely.
The group, right?
Yeah. So we talk to women a lot about when they come to see us. It's their journey, right? And that looks different for everybody. So someone might move forward a lot sooner than someone else, and that's okay. Right. And they need to know that is okay, right? Whichever way that looks for them, it doesn't matter, right? Okay. What's important is that they're doing what they need to move forward and to heal and that type of thing.
So if people in the community are looking to reach out to you and looking to access women in crisis, there must be a number of ways that we can contact you. Is there a telephone number?
There is, yeah. So we have our main telephone number, so 759-1230. We also have a toll-free number, which is 1-877-759-1230.
Okay, we're going to put those numbers on the screen, so that'll help our viewers. And then how else can we reach out to you?
They can also go online, so we have a webpage as well.
Oh.
And when they're on there, we also have an escape button so that they can be redirected out of there in the event that they're in a place that maybe isn't safe. And
somebody walks in on them when they're searching for help and they don't want, so there's an escape button?
There's a few actually that are on the page that are very easy, quick exits, and it'll redirect them. I think it brings up, some other web page or something.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a nice safety feature there.
Absolutely.
And then Facebook as well, did you say?
Facebook and Instagram as well.
Is that Women in Crisis?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And of course, there's always Google. So if you have any questions, just Google Women in Crisis, Sault Ste. Marie, and there you are.
Yeah. And our walk-in as well, so they can just come right to the shelter. So 23 Oakland Avenue.
24/7.
Walk right in 24/7. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, thanks for being here. Part of 16 Days of Activism, raising awareness about sexual assault and sexual violence and domestic violence. So thanks again to Women in Crisis, and we'll be back with Luann on Mornings with Luann and Tim right after this. Logan Costa, Sault Area Hospital Foundation Development and Communications Officer.
You got it.
That's a pretty fancy title there, Logan Costa. Logan is here today basically to shame my Movember mustache. That's what.
Oh no, I love that you got it.
I'm trying, man. I'm doing my best.
Men's health is important.
I had so much fun at the Sault Area Hospital Foundation Gala just 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great event.
Wow, what a great event.
Yeah.
So basically, for people who don't understand, can you explain the difference between Sault Area Hospital and Sault Area Hospital Foundation, what the role the foundation plays?
Yeah, I mean, the hospital's there to deliver healthcare.
Yes.
It's plain and simple. Everybody knows that.
Ta-da.
Yeah. The foundation, on the other hand, is there to purchase the capital equipment, to work with our community to say, we need to purchase this equipment to keep our healthcare up to date, or to make it accessible, to keep people local.
Right.
So that's what we do. We look for donations, we run events, we make partnerships, and we run lotteries, and that's a major portion of what we do to ensure that we have healthcare here in our community.
One of the things that was said at the gala that I never really read. Oh, actually, I think I was just talking to Megan Wigmore, with whom you work, and we were sitting having. She was my dinner partner that evening.
Yes.
And she was talking about how people still call it the new hospital.
Yes.
How many years have you been there?
Oh,
8?
I think it's about 8 is what we're talking.
Okay, so what Megan was saying was, in the life of a hospital, when you get to the 10-year mark, the 15-year mark, you're looking at replacing major pieces of equipment.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, and this stuff is not funded by the provincial government.
No, I mean, this is funded by the community. The community helped us build the hospital. They put the money forward to build it, and I'd say about half of the equipment that came into the hospital that day when it opened was brand new.
Yes.
Because it was part of that purchase. Half of it came from the old site down on Main Street. And so over the past couple of years, a lot of that stuff's been replaced. The stuff from Queen Street has been,
But we're looking at now the newer stuff, the stuff that came in 8 years ago.
Yeah.
These things don't have a life beyond that. They're not intended to last more than 15 years. Technology changes as well.
Absolutely. So that's a big part of it. Another big part is you got to remember this is running all the time.
All the time.
All the time. Like we replaced the CT scanner that was running all the time, 24/7, just running people through, trying to get those crucial scans done. And so we replaced it, knowing that we're going to have to do it again, because this is a crucial piece of healthcare. You can't diagnose without something like that.
And then Megan was telling me about some other things that you're looking toward getting, I guess, access in the emergency room so that the surgeons can pull out people's files right on, because right now they can't do that. We don't have that technology in the operating rooms.
Yeah.
But it's technology that has been developed, and that's a goal to get that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then also she was talking about all that fascinating stuff about the pharmacy and how the area that you have to go through, like the vapor barrier kind of thing, and getting dressed up. It's wild. The things you don't know, I'm telling you.
Well, yeah, I mean, the pharmacy is a great example. The lab at our hospital, they're places you will never see, but they
mix toxic things for like cancer patients that only have a life of like 2 hours.
Yeah, and it's crucial to that person's care.
Yeah. And a staff person has to go down there and get suited up. Takes 20 minutes to get into the garb, to get in there and get the thing, and then get unsuited and get out again, because it's all like. So they're talking about creating a chamber that would speed that up, because. You're taking time off a person's schedule who's trying to work, and
absolutely, yeah.
I never it's wild. And then to hear the director now, Teresa Martone, is she the director? What is her title?
Executive director. Yeah.
For her, she stands up there and says, "So my task, the board has told me the number is $5 million a year for the next 10 years. They have to raise $50 million in 10 years to operate our hospital."
Yeah, and that's what's projected, to purchase all of those pieces of equipment that's needed to just keep us on course to deliver the care that we deserve.
Rather than always putting a hand out and saying give, you've come up with a way, some fun ways actually, to support. And this is one of them, the 50-50 draw.
This is one of them. Yeah, this is a new one. This is one that we're excited about, only because it's our first kind of jump into online.
Right.
Which is the future. I mean, it's kind of the present, but up until recently, charities weren't allowed to run online.
They weren't? I didn't know that.
So the big ones were allowed because their prizes were over $1 million.
Okay.
So that was something that the AGCO, they worked with them on, and it was very closely
like
monitored.
Princess Margaret and those hospitals can do the really big ones, and they can go online.
Exactly, yeah.
But locally, you're talking about now, you leave a grocery store and you see somebody at a table with a book of tickets.
Yeah.
To set that up is so intensive, labor intensive, paper intensive, this way, and we were talking before we went to camera. I was saying I don't carry money in my wallet. I use my debit card for everything.
Exactly, yeah. So this is what we're trying to do to modernize the way that we do these types of things, these types of lotteries. So
what's the deal with how does this work, the 50-50 ticket?
You can get it online. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, for me to just be able to go online whenever I want, Sue5050.ca, and purchase a ticket.
Sue spelled S-O-O.
Yes.
Sue5050.ca, purchase a ticket online.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the easiest way. You could do it from your home. It's plain and simple. You purchase your ticket and it delivers it to your email. So you can't even lose it.
You can't even lose it?
Even if you tried, you couldn't lose it, yeah.
Now, the really interesting part of this, too, is to launch this off, you are starting with a large pot of money.
Yes, we got a $50,000 guarantee. So it's a 50-50 draw.
Guaranteed.
Yes. 50-50 draw. So traditionally 50-50 draws, if Tim bought the first ticket, $20, the prize is now $10.
Right.
It takes a lot of time to get some momentum. So the $50,000 guarantee is saying, you know what, we know that we're going to reach that sales mark. This is where we are. This is where what we're going to give away, the minimum. And as soon as we get over 100,000 in sales, the prize grows.
Oh, so it's a guaranteed $50,000 minimum, and it might get higher.
It might
depending
get higher,
on. Yeah. So the more you buy, the higher the thing gets, the higher the pot gets. When is this being drawn? This first big Mondo one.
So the first week of December, actually, it's coming up.
Okay,
yeah.
we better buy those tickets now.
The tickets, yeah. And so we know that Sault Ste. Marie is, we're not last minute, but we like to wait around.
We are last minute.
Okay, you'll say it, yeah.
I'll say it because I know for events it's very hard. People in Sault Ste. Marie tend to wait till the last minute. So
so we just want everybody to make sure that you're in on this. Get in there because we've seen tremendous sales, more than we have ever seen at the beginning of the card draw.
Right.
Because we're able to monitor it. We're able to see exactly up to date how many people purchase.
How often are you going to do these 50-50 draws?
We're looking to do them monthly.
Whoa!
So the $50,000 guarantee is this one only.
This one only. This is the launch.
Yeah. So you got to get your tickets.
You hooked.
Yeah, you got to get your tickets in the next.
Because someone in this city is going to get $50,000 minimum, and everybody else is going to go, I want that. I'm going to buy my tickets next time.
That's when the wildfire happens, right?
Right.
When people hear of the prize or somebody winning it, right?
After that, is there a guaranteed minimum after the first month?
Yeah, we're looking at $10,000. So
that's excellent.
Still great.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to make somebody's Christmas very special.
Maybe mine.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah, I could use that for sure. So every month, but then you were saying there is flexibility with 50-50 draws. You don't want to compete with yourself. So your card draw is quite infamous. I mean, it's
huge. Yeah, we had our 30th year this year, and it was incredible. Yeah, we raised $240,000.
See, and once again, the community would say, "Yay, $250,000." But when you look at a $5 million target, you've got to keep going. Yeah. You have to keep reinventing these things too.
Exactly. So I mean, this is a big test trial for online because we want to sell 5-card draw tickets online as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is an easy way for us to start off to figure out, what we're doing with all this. Not that we've got great support with the team that we're working with, but when we move to the beast 5-card draw and we're selling 20,000 hopefully 30,000 tickets, we're going to be pushing them online to make it as efficient as possible for us.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for being here, Logan.
Thank you.
Congratulations on this. This is very exciting for you guys. I hope that maybe Teresa can get a good night's sleep. Teresa was saying that budget of $5 million, having to raise $5 million a year, keeps her up at night sometimes. So maybe she can get some shut eye with this one. Help us out, guys. Sault Area Hospital Foundation. It's the 50-50 draw. You can get your tickets online. SOO5050.ca. Minimum $10,000.
Well, 50 this time.
That's what I meant. That's why he's here. $50,000. Thanks again. And we'll be back with Luann after this on Mornings with Luann and Tim.
Recently, the Government of Ontario established a $100 million affordability fund to help Ontarians who don't qualify for low-income conservation programs ease the burden of their electricity bill. Whether you rent or own your home, as long as you pay your electric bill, you could qualify. There are 3 levels of support available. The first is a home energy kit with upgrades like smart power bars and LED light bulbs. The second includes Energy Star appliances that help keep things cool during the hot summer months. The third is for electrically heated homes so that your power bills don't break the bank during those long Canadian winters. Plus, all upgrades, including installation, are completely free of charge. Visit affordabilityfund.org or call 1-855-494-FUND to find out if you qualify.
Congratulations to Angel Jolicoeur. Angel has won the 2 tickets to the Habitat for Humanity Builders Bash, the fundraiser going on this weekend at Grand Gardens North. You and a date are going, and I'll be there for the auction.
Awesome. Have a great time. Such a good cause as well. Good for you. Thank you to KC Security for sponsoring the show for us every day. And we certainly hope that you are going to have an absolutely wonderful day, even though it is Monday. Hang in there.